All right. Well, when we first started this YouTube channel, we talked a lot about the bell curve, about moving right on the bell curve, getting outcomes that aren't ordinary, and about how it takes doing things that other people aren't doing to get there. And all that's still true. But the longer that we've done this, the more that for me, I realize it's not even so much about that because trying to engineer the outcome, I think ultimately ends up just leaving you feel like you're striving all the time.
Mm,
And I don't think that's how we were created to live. I think more and more it just comes down to what I desire and what I've always desired to do here with this channel, these videos with Jake, is to say, how do we just keep moving in the right direction?
mm,
How do we move in the right direction? Because the whole world system, right? It wants to distract us, it wants to deceive us, and sometimes flat out lie to us. And when we buy into those things, what we find is we end up going in the exact wrong direction, or maybe it's not the total wrong direction, it's just a few degrees off, and 3,000 miles later you realize, man, I ended up completely different than where I wanted to.
right.
And so moving forward, that's really what these are going to be about. And so then how do we do that? How do we move in the right direction? I think we move in the right direction by um, clinging to what's true,
Mm,
right? By finding what's true and embracing it and applying it in our life, and not just in our Bible side of our life, in all of our life,
mm,
right? In our health, in our relationships, in our finances, in our work, with our time, with our faith, obviously. Like we apply the truth the best that we know it, and we keep searching for the truth. The way I think about it is like you get planted in life out in the wilderness somewhere, and you don't
mm,
exactly know where to go. You know the direction you want to go, but there's a star up in the sky, and you're going to follow the star. And sometimes there's clouds, you can't see the star, and so you just keep going in the direction you saw it last. And sometimes, you have to wait until the clouds burn off and then you see it again. And to me, that's what I think the pursuit of truth is like.
mm,
And I think to the degree we can do that, to the degree that we know that the truth is out there and that the Lord wants to reveal it to us, and through his word he's revealed it to us, and through his spirit he continually reveals it to us, it takes the pressure off. And I
right.
think that we were meant to live in a way where we're not saddled with pressure. We're not buying into the world system of success and what it looks like. Not that we don't want to have success,
Mm,
but we define success differently. And that's what Jake and I are going to talk about here today is what is success really? What is the essence of success? What are we as Christians, and even if you're not a Christian, what are we all desiring and longing for and called to? And what does that look like? That's what we're going to tackle here today. So with that, Jake, thanks for being here, and let's dive in.
yeah, man. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this last night, and when we talked about this, you brought up a story which maybe you can share. But the story of your friend from Romania, and I'd first just like to preference like after you told this story, I was just like it would just hit me like a truck, and you described striving so well, and I think that that idea of striving has totally hand in hand with that feeling of going after success, and the worldly version of success, right, is the you know really going after that. And when we were talking, if we were first talking, my shoulders were like this, and I was all tense and like this. Literally, we by the end of it, I was just relaxed, and I was grooving, I was driving with it, and it just felt good, man. So yeah, I'd love it if you could share that story again and what you shared with me last night.
Yeah, so last couple days was kind of wild, and started off with a friend of mine who, before we started these videos on this channel, I had an interview with him and another guy, and he's a missionary. He's in Romania, and I've known him for a long time, and he's a fatherly figure in many ways to many people. And he sent me a video message on iMessage, and he just said he had watched my last video with Dr. Jack, and he said, "Hey, Zach, I just want you to know that we're over here on the other side of the world, and we're watching the videos, and we appreciate what you guys are doing. We appreciate that that you're not giving up, that you're continuing on, you're continuing to have these conversations." He goes, "And I just want to remind you, it's not about success. That it's not that we're not pursuing success. God doesn't call us to success. He just calls us to fruitfulness." And for me, that was like, oh yeah, like I know that in my mind, but I haven't embraced that fully in the essence, in my essence.
Mm,
And I think that it's not, again, I'm not saying that like pursuing things that we would call success is inherently a bad thing by any means. I'm just saying that like the Bible, the truth, that star up in the sky, it's calling us to something different. It looks different. It acts different. The kingdom is like an upside down kingdom. And so I think we're always having to sift and sort to find out, like, am I pursuing the world's version of this? Am I gauging my progress and my outcomes and my quote fruit based on worldly metrics?
Mm.
Or am I doing it based on the Bible's metrics, on what the Lord has called me to? And it was just really cool. And then the crazy thing is, so that happened Saturday, and then on Sunday we go to church for Mother's Day, and the message was all about fruit trees.
Mm.
It was all about how fruit trees, they have to grow down first in the dark. They have to grow down towards the water, right? Towards the wet soil before they can grow up towards the light, towards the
Mm.
sun. And that often and that the degree to which they flourish up in the light where you can see them is predicated by the degree to which they went deep and they went wide. And so it was just so crazy because, we've been doing this for a while now. And, as an example, like for us, it's really easy to step back and go like, I don't know, the fruit isn't what I would have hoped for yet, or maybe it wasn't what I would have expected. And then you start to wonder, like, is the lack of fruit telling me something?
Mm.
When the pastor in the service on Sunday, he quoted Psalm 1, and it says that the tree that's planted by the water, right? It bears fruit in its season,
Mm.
right? In its season, and it prospers in whatever it does. And so I think for me, it was good to just say, oh, listen, like if I'm striving, if I'm trying to engineer the outcome, if I'm trying to do all the things that everybody is saying you have to do, those things will get you, quote, success. But if what they leave you feeling at the end is that you got to keep striving to keep the outcomes going, then it's not success at all, because like fruit trees don't have to like fret over if they're going to bear fruit or not, right?
Mm.
Fruit trees don't have to try to bear fruit. It just overflows from them. And I think to me that's like what Jack was trying to say in the last video. Do you want to be a plow horse, right? Ramrodding it, making it happen, getting it done, grinding it out, carrying the weight, shouldering the burden, or do you want to be a reservoir
Mm.
where like it just flows out of you because it's in you, it's overflowing from you? And to me, all of those things happening at the same time, we're like, oh, that applies to me in this particular instance, but this applies to everyone everywhere. This is like one of the essence of truth, of a truth that then now we get to look at and we get to say, oh, how do I apply that in every area of my life?
Right. No, that's so good. And I think your definition of success, like the feeling of success that I've caught myself following sometimes is just completely obscured and just like manipulated, where it's just like, if there's this worldly view of success of like, if you don't have the instant gratification from something, then you're doing something wrong, right? If you don't have instant feedback of like thumbs up or a dollar or something like that, to be like, okay, I'm on the right. But then most people will go away from it and quit from it, and I'm guilty of that too. And the way that you're describing this idea of fruitfulness, it's like a lot of it is work with unseen result, but not even work. It's like when you think of work, it's like a striving, but it's not. It's like a, I don't even know the correct word for it, but I think you get the point that I'm trying to say. And after you shared this, I sat down and I talked with my wife, and it reminds me of one thing we've had a conversation about before, which is this idea of the gap versus the gain. And I know you've shared this story with me, and maybe you can speak on it a little bit more. But I sat down, we talked to with my wife, and I mean, when we were talking about this, there was no part of my relationship coming into it, but I sat down, and we talked about it, and we've realized the roots that we've been growing. It's like our roots are spread so wide. We've been married for a year and a half, and it's just like, maybe we're not bearing all of the fruit, that the visible fruit that a lot of, maybe people can see, but like our roots are just deep and strong, and like we're continuing to grow them, and we have a bud of a tree coming up. But like that's and it was just amazing to sit down, and like by the end of this 20-minute conversation, we were just both, really thankful for each other, thankful for where we came from to where we are now, and just like focusing on that gain that we've had is just all part of that, seeing that fruit that is to come.
So good. So, as you were saying that, I'm sitting here going, so we get told so often, focus on the fruit, focus on the fruit, focus on the fruit, bear the fruit, bear the fruit, have success. Um, Pay attention to what you see on the outside. And I think what's like registering with me as you're saying that is it's actually we should focus on the root.
Mm,
We should focus on like, am I growing the root? Am I investing into the root? Am I tending to the root? Am I watering the root? Right? You water the root. You don't water like the branches up at the top. You water the root
mhm,
because here's what I'm seeing is like if you are doing what you know will take that root deep and wide towards that water or that wet soil, that dense nutrient base down below. You don't have to worry about the fruit.
mm,
You don't have to sit there. You don't have to even think about like, are people seeing my fruit? Am I seeing my fruit? Because then we start worrying about reverse engineering. We're in charge. We're the outcome is relying on us
mm,
instead of just saying, hey, I know, I trust, I believe that if I just keep sowing into to building my root system, the
mm,
fruit system is inevitable. That's
mhm,
what I think Psalm 1 is saying. Like if you are planted by water, right?
mm,
You are going to bear fruit. You can't not bear fruit. And so this is what I really want to say because this wasn't in the sermon on Sunday, and it's something that I've thought about in the past. And it's very interesting to me that a tree grows both gravitropically and phototropically. So it grows towards gravity first, right? That's because gravity is pulling it down, and it's pulling it down because God, when he designed it, I'm sure knew that, well, that's where all the wet soil is. That's
right.
where all the nutrients are. That's down there way deep is deep enough where there's going to be moisture, even if up top there's a drought, right?
Mm,
And at the same time, as that goes down, then it starts to come up toward the light, right? That's
mm,
phototropically. It's growing towards photon, towards light. And I go, oh, isn't it so interesting that Jesus, that in the Bible, he says he'll give you the living water.
mm,
And it also says that he is light. In the beginning, there was light,
mm,
right? And I go, oh, and he also says that in the beginning was the Word. Word is truth, right? His word is the truth. He is light. He also gives living water. And
mm,
so here's my thing that as we're talking about this, what I feel like I'm piecing together here is that when we sit there and we're striving to figure out how to bear fruit, that's why even if we get the quote success, that's why it feels hard. That's why it feels unfulfilling. That's why it feels the way we don't want it to feel. It leaves us feeling like there's something missing because I think what he's showing us in his word is he's saying, no, listen, just focus on just focus on me because
mm,
I'm both the water and I'm the light.
mm,
And if you focus on going deep in the water, if you focus on going deep in your root system and you know me and you abide in me and you trust me and you rest in me, I will take care of pulling you towards me, the light, right? Like if you focus on going deep in the soil, I will pull you up into the light. And
mm,
to me, that's like where I look in my life and I go, yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time trying to be, quote, successful.
mm,
And in many ways, I've had, quote, success. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that it hasn't been a wonderful blessing, but I think like the piece that the last several years, the journey I've been on is, I think God saying, yes, but if
mm,
you are left feeling exhausted at the end, if you're left feeling like it's up to you, if you're left feeling in these ways like the burden is on you, then you're missing the point.
right.
Even if you look successful, even if the success in all these other ways is coming, that's not all that he has for me. It's a distraction from what he has for me. And that
Right.
doesn't mean you're never going to work hard. That doesn't mean you're never going to have to, have hard times and toil. I mean, the Bible says there will be persecution, there will be hard times.
Mm,
But it means like if we if I can focus on he's the water, he's the light. He's in control of those things. If my focus is on abiding in him, all those other things, the fruit that I'm looking for, the fruit in my marriage, the fruit in my kids, the fruit in my finances, the fruit in my health,
mm,
it's going to come.
mm,
And I don't have to try and control it. I don't have to try and engineer it.
right. No, that's so good, and I think that it's so interesting because going back to what we were talking about, seeing success and seeing the indicators of success, and when we don't see those, we stray away, and it's so. like I wouldn't consider myself a expert on biblical principles by any means. I'm still learning and I'm new, and I'm constantly trying to figure out the truth. Like you said in the beginning, but to me, it's almost the opposite, right? It's almost like you look at striving, and you almost see the indicator of striving is you're probably not following the right path, right? Not to say that there aren't going to be difficult times, like it often says in the Bible. Be glad in your trials, and there's principles there where there's going to be difficulty, and but if you're constantly scraping, constantly striving, it's just that has to if that is not a sign, then I don't like the lack of success versus the constant clawing. I feel like are two different things, right? And I think maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but I feel like that's kind of part of that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like if we're spending more of our time, more of our effort, more of our energy, more of our focus trying to figure out the solution,
Mhm.
right? Trying to figure out how to create the fruit as opposed to uh, getting closer to the source, the water in the depths of the soil,
Mhm.
then that's where we have a problem. Like, even I think about all the things you and I have tried and experimented with, and the conversations we've had about, like, how do we get this out there more, and who's the audience, and all these things, and yeah, maybe there's a time and a place for all that, but, like, I don't know. I'm at this place in life where I go, listen, it's already there's just so much, and I go, how do I just boil it all down to the essence? And for me, the essence is I'm not going to worry about engineering all that stuff. I'm just going to say, hey, I want to pursue what's true. I want to try and see what's true. I want to report what I'm seeing that seems true to me to the best that I can understand it today. And if that's helpful to other people, if that's helpful to keep them moving in the right direction, great. I'm not the guide, I'm not the guru. Alls I'm trying to do is follow the star in the sky. And as I see it, try and do my best to say to other people, hey, I think I see the star.
Mm.
And hopefully that will help you, and hopefully it will help me keep moving in the right direction. So
Yeah, man. I
that's
appreciate
what
it.
I got.
I'm on board. Let's go. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, appreciate anybody who's still here watching, listening. Thank you. If you found that helpful, we'd love it if you hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Most of the people watching this are not subscribed. And share with a friend, right? A lot of us we're wrestling with the same things. And I think these kinds of conversations hopefully will help other people who you think could benefit from it. So, again, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.